the reasons why they or them opposing those files being released, I think they have very good reasons why they should oppose. Of course, most of us will think like, why should they be against those files being released? Because then maybe we are going to know what actually happened to Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, that could be true, that those files might give us some glimpse into what happened. Of course, if you don't know, President Trump has released those documents. Now, these are documents from the 1960s that have been sealed, information from investigations that happened after his assassination, and maybe some other things that happened before he was actually assassinated. Yeah, of course, when you hear it, you're like, yeah, it's good that they are releasing those documents, and maybe we are going to know what happened actually. But I see why the family is very concerned, and here is why. In the 1960s, 1950s, there was a lot of tension in the US, of course, during this civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr. was not like seen by the system the way the system perceives him today. That was a different era. Today, of course, the American government holds him as somebody who was who contributed to that society, but that was not the case in the 1950s and 1960s. During that time, he was viewed as an enemy to, of can say, the government or the system. They viewed him as someone who was trying to destabilize the society, and of course, he was fair game, we can say, to the system when it came to trying to eliminate him or to remove him. And of course, many people believe that his death was actually caused by people inside government and not really outside government. So, but killing him was, we can say, like the final thing that was to be done to him. There were other things that needed to be done or were done to try to destroy him. And there are these talks of some recordings of him cheating on his wife, having affairs with other women. And now, maybe it is true he had affairs with other women, could be true, but it's also possible that actually it was not true, and these are things that were created by the CIA and other agencies to try to discredit him as a person. And I think that's where the concern comes from for the family, that some of these documents are likely to contain very terrible things about Martin Luther King Jr., not because he did those things, but because these are things that were manufactured to paint him in the negative light. And and today, if those files are released, or they have been released actually, people reading them, and they are public now, people reading them, the general public, we don't have the capacity to tell which stories in these documents are actually true and which one were manufactured. For us, of course, they are official document. That means whatever they say, it is true because it comes from official, like government sources, or these are documents that were filed by the CIA or the FBI or whichever other agency. So the family is going to be concerned, or is concerned, I think, because of that, because the public is going to read these files, and most likely there are things that were manufactured about Martin Luther King Jr. that are really, really, really bad. Or maybe actually he was a human being. We should remember that. He was just a human being. So it's possible he did, for example, the story that is told often that the CIA have files of him having relationships with multiple other women. Could be true. He was a human being. But it's also, as I've said, very possible that these are things that were manufactured and then they were filed as if they are really true. And now today you release those files and they're coming from a government agency. They have been released by the President of the United States. Of course, people are going to read those things in those documents and they are going to actually believe that, oh, okay, this guy was like this and like that, and that's going to hurt his image. Yeah, so those are my random thoughts.